Okay, well, we'll say a good evening from me. Apologies for the change in date, first of all. We've had all sorts of technical problems with Google Hangouts as they seem to consistently change everything, so nothing is in fact consistent. But anyways, welcome to the Society for One Place Studies, the first Hangout for this year. So the first Hangout is usually the beginning of our shared endeavour, and this year is no different. So far, I can't believe that we actually started the Society 3 years ago. That seems amazing. In September of, I think it was the Exodus conference, Kim, wasn't it, when we suddenly went, oh, we're all live, and we suddenly had so many new members for you to add onto the site. It seems barely possible that was so long ago. But we've done World War One for 2014 that Alex led, and Kim and Janet have carried on the baton and now thrown it at me. So an excellent migration shared endeavour for last year, and this year I tried to come up with a name that didn't have a different spelling for different parts of the world, but unfortunately I couldn't come up with anything that wasn't going to be a Z or an S. So I'm going to spell visualization with an S for the entire year. So apologies to anybody in different parts of the world. But really, I wanted to kind of introduce the whole shared endeavour this year. And visualization for me and what I'm going to be looking at this year for my one place study. And yes, I hereby promise online, live, that I am going to spend some time on my studies this year. But for me, visualization is pretty much anything that helps me to build, literally as it says, a visual picture of my one place study. Now, for those of you that know me reasonably well and have looked on the website, you'll know that my studies are pretty small. And the problem that I have is that actually there's very little available historically in a visual sense in terms of my place. So what I did years and years ago, and in fact actually what got me into doing my place study, was it's actually connected to my Silliphant surname study, because somebody said to me, on the side of the tower in Luffingcott, where? Luffingcott, there's a plaque on the side, and I sort of went, where is this place? And I looked on a map, and the first map rather, I couldn't even see it. I couldn't find Luffingcott on the map. It's so tiny. So as I say, the problem that I have is that I don't have very much in terms of visual stuff for my study. So what I thought we could start off with for the first part of the shared endeavour is to think about photographs. Now, photographs, of course, can be photographs from yesteryear or photographs from yesterday. And I've got maps, but they're not photographs. I've got, I think, 2 photographs, one which I've shown on a previous Hangout last year, which is actually quite a big framed picture. And I've got a picture of the Luffingcott Rectory, which was burnt down many, many years ago. So I'm quite glad to have a copy of that. But really, I don't have much else from way back when. So when I first started to think about visualising my own place, I actually went round with my camera. And I thought, well, if I don't have anything from yesteryear, I might as well start cataloguing it now. And I started walking around with my camera, and I thought, well, just take a photograph of all the lanes and all the houses and things like that. And can you imagine how many people came out of those houses and went, what the hell are you doing? It was like I'd completely committed the worst crime in the world. But I went round and I took a couple of pictures, and I've actually got some to just share with you, so you can just get a bit of a picture or a visualization of my my parish that I do. This is actually Tetcott rather than Luffingcott, so I'll just share that. That's one of the lanes and one of the houses, and you can just see at the back there the church, and this is actually part of the manor estate. It's owned by a very wealthy family still today. And there's a house, literally the lane just goes up there. And this was the house in which a lady lived who was particularly vociferous in her what the hell are you doings. Really was not very enamoured with me taking photographs of her house at all, and came out and practically assaulted me. But actually, it was a really good thing for her to do, because she came out and she said, what are you doing? You know, why are you taking photographs of everything? And I explained, and suddenly she became the nicest lady in the world. She told me all about the village. She invited me in for tea and cake, which is very nice. And we sat there on my lined paper that I'd taken with me and my clipboard and drew out the roads. She named every single property for me, even though some weren't actually named on the gates and so on. Named everybody she knew that lived at different places, everybody that she knew from the past that had lived in those places. And suddenly I could visualise my parish so quickly. And all I'd done was take a photograph of this lady's house. So the best part was actually that her partner, I don't know if it's her husband or not, but her partner husband had the key to the church. So I couldn't get in the church because it was all locked up for safety. But actually, then they said, would you like to go up the tower in the church? Is the Pope Catholic? So there we went, and at the time, actually, it wasn't very easy to get up, and we couldn't really get very far because they'd just taken over, I think, the sort of caretakering of the church, and it was a very, very narrow, sort of winding tower staircase, and you couldn't get very far. But since then, they've actually cleared it all, so you can actually, and they do sort of, I wouldn't say tours, I think that's a slight exaggeration, but you can actually go in and go up the tower and sort of stand and look out at the view from the top. So, as I say, from a random photograph taken of a quite a modern, actually, in tech, got that house, I suddenly gained a massive visualization of the entire parish. So, I may not have many old pictures, but I certainly have some new ones. So I don't know if anybody wants to carry on from that with their own stories about photographs they may have, old or new.
Kirsty, I had a similar experience. I've looked at Devon Record Office and TNA, and there's all of maybe 4 photos of old Bratton Valley.
Right.
They're quite boring photos, 30s or so. But I started photographing, and in fact, one of my contacts in the village was helping me with this. We were trying to figure out cottages nowadays back to the time records and to try and get photos. So all told, I've probably got about, I don't know, maybe 30 photos that are, say, the church and chapels, and institutions, the school, but also a number of the cottages, and a couple of long-distance ones of farms, because the farms you have to get permission. But
all right, that's interesting.
I gave a start. There's about 600 gravestones, and I think I've gotten through 10. But we were crawling around, laying on the ground, trying to read those graves, take good photos. And a couple people walked by and were kind of the same, and got to talking. They said, "Oh, you're the one with the website. And they were just as helpful as could be."
Yeah.
And another one, I got a contact from Wales who had family back from one of the farms, and I told him I'd go out and try and find it. And we got directions down to it, and we walked down there, and the farmer was out. And once we talked to him, he was very and told us all about the farmhouse, and we got real good photos. And then he said, "And here's my daughter who lives in this cottage here." And it turned out they had been very active, and still are, with the Methodist Church there in the parish. And so then they've been there for many generations. So they became a key source for me for the nonconformists in the area. So I have to agree with you that doing a walkabout, you don't get sometimes the best pictures, and sometimes you can't get the cars out of the way and things like that. But I really want to, because this year we're hoping to move. I may not be living near my place anymore, and so I'm really anxious to do everything I can to get photos of today's cottages, farms. I've done a lot in the church too. There's a lot of interesting things like the Norman font and medieval wall paintings and everything in the church, and I'm getting a lot of that. So that's a really high priority for me.
And I think just thinking on that point, Kim, in terms of the gravestones and things, you know, the photographs that you can take of those kind of things, I've seen so much deterioration over the years because I know your place is in a similar kind of location to mine, but it's the wilds of Tetcott, unfortunately, is very open to any kind of rain or any kind of, you know, diverse weather conditions.
Yeah.
And I've taken photographs probably, I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 years ago, and then taken another. And my gosh, do you notice the difference? It's remarkable. Some, again, linked to my Silliphant study, you can see clearly some of them, and then 8 years, 10 years later, whenever, you can barely read them. Or
Really?
there's grass that's overgrown, and you know they're hidden sort of in a load of grass, and it's just not really kept so well. I'm lucky that it is kept pretty well, but there are some that are sort of under the tree hangings, and there's this huge great load of grass.
Yeah.
So yeah, not great. And as you say, when you're living far away, as you intend to be from your place, it's nice to have that visualization that's there on the computer for you to.
That's between the village and the gravestones. It's going to take me every nice day. Probably
Yeah.
now and the time we end up going. So.
Yeah, that's the thing, and they are few and far between at the moment over here, of course. Certainly right now. Does anybody else want to take over with their thoughts on photographs?
Can you hear me? It's Peter.
I can, yeah. Hi, Peter.
Hi, good. Hi. I was very fortunate because one of the chaps. Oh, I'm getting feedback there.
I can switch myself onto mute.
All right, I'm getting. Okay, it may be me on my end. Anyway, I had a. No, it's getting. That's terrible. Can you hear me still?
You sound
Yes,
fine.
we can. Yeah, you sound fine at this end. It must be something at your end, Peter, I think.
Okay.
Perhaps.
All right. Well, I'll take
As long as you can't hear yourself in echo, you're okay, because I find that really hard.
Well, I was very fortunate because there's an old chap in the village who's was born in one of the houses and he's now over 80 and he's lived there all his life.
Wow.
And he's collected photos and postcards over the years. So it's a real treasure trove to find that, and we've become friends. And he comes and see me most week, which is rather nice to chat.
Oh, that's lovely.
The other thing that's been useful has been Google search and eBay search. Just every now and again something comes up, you know, a postcard or something, and I've been able to get some of those, which has been great. Oh, historical things. I've done the same as you, walking around the village and taking photos, and also Street View, which saved me a little bit of leather.
Peter, what you said reminded me too. I think some years back, the village, I understand the village had a get-together, and one of the people interested there asked everybody to kind of bring in their mementos. And I think they took pictures and they made a CD. And I haven't gotten the CD yet, but I know it exists, and I think I better get a priority on tracking down who's got a copy of that CD, because I think it probably should have all kinds of stuff that is tucked away in those cottages and farmhouses that you'd never see.
Yeah.
Yes, I tend to do what Peter said about, which is get things from eBay. Mine are mostly picture postcards. Not photographs or anything, but it's wonderful. I've got a map from 1838, and I've got picture postcards from 1905, and a picture from 1949. Which to me is old.
Careful, Rod, careful.
I know, yes. But that's why I said to me it's old. Yeah, and it's a wonderful resource because, of course, I can't actually get to my place to take photos. I have got one photo of a gravestone, which is actually my ancestors, because I've got loads of ancestors buried down there, and they all come from there, and I'm thinking, one of these days, it would be nice if I had a camera, of course.
Well, how much did you pay for the postcard? I saw a postcard come up on eBay. I bid £5, and that just didn't even get a blink. Like, how much did you pay for your picture?
Well, they vary. I think the last one I paid £2.50 for,
Really?
and there was and the one before that was £1.99.
Wow, that is good. I mean, I think, Kim, you may probably have the same problem that I have, that they're rare as hen's teeth pictures for our places.
Yeah.
And so when they do come up, they go skyrocketing. Because there are some, I mean, I know Janet with Clavelli and things like that, there are lots of Clavelli pictures, you know, that there are just absolutely stacks of them. But if something comes up for Luffincott, I mean, I think I paid about 20 something pounds for the picture that I put on the blog about this Hangout. And it's also, I think it's in Destinations as well, but it's just, you just don't get them. So really, for me, the only way of getting photographs of any sort is to do them now, so that I can create that for the future, because they're just not there.
There is one thing that really irritates me, because Southpool is in Devon, and eBay sends me little daily emails saying, you know, there's a match of Southpool, and there's one there, and they keep selling it. It's a key ring, and you can obviously have it personalised, and it said, I'm from Southpool,
oh yes,
Cornwall.
I have that. Yes,
Cornwall.
Southpool, Cornwall.
Yeah,
and
Luffincott, Cornwall too. Yes.
It's not a real keyring, of course.
No.
It's all computer generated.
Oh, but Southpool, Cornwall just drives me up the wall, and I keep thinking, how do I get hold of these people and say, it's not Cornwall?
It's about as easy as contacting Ancestry and telling them that Luffincott isn't in Cornwall.
Oh, I know, it's just abysmal.
Yeah. But it's there. Well, with a keyring, I don't think I'd care so much, but
No,
but at least it's online.
Yes, or something.
Yeah. Janet, you are now with us. You're having lots of
Yes.
techie problems, I take
Yes,
it.
I am. We've had power cuts and goodness knows what, so my signal
lordy.
disappeared. So I've moved to a different room, hoping that I
I was
might.
going to say, I'm sensing that you're standing now rather than
No,
sitting.
no, I'm sort of perched on the edge of the bed trying to get a decent
Oh,
signal.
lordy.
If I doze off, you'll know why.
We'll know that we have to make it more interesting or get you to talk.
So
Well,
do you live in one of your villages, if she's still here?
She
I'm
is.
still here.
Oh, okay.
job.
Maybe, so what sort of advantages do you get with all this?
Or disadvantages.
Well, I mean, I probably get a few more options for postcards than Kirsty does, but they are quite expensive, so they're often sort of £5 a time.
I wish.
When they come up, and then although it's not one of my one-place studies, I'm sure I've said this before on Hangouts, I have an interesting little place which actually is in Cornwall called Car Green, and I have an eBay search thing on that which throws up every green car that anyone's selling ever.
No.
So I don't seem to be able to tell it that I only want it if it's Car Green or one word. Yeah, so that's kind of a bit of a non-starter, because I don't scroll through 1,000 green cars and children's pajamas with green cars on, goodness knows what else, just to see if there's anything at the bottom. But
I'll tell you the one that gets me, because I have an eBay alert for Southpool, and the number of times I get Butlins in Skegness have a Southpool. And there's somewhere in Florida which has a Southpool.
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
And when I look for Blagden, which is one of my one name things, I get koi carp, because there's a firm called Blagdens who do accessories and food and everything for koi carp. So I've had to name my search Blagden minus koi minus carp.
Oh, how brilliant. Has anyone had any luck with tracing old photographs that are sort of in archives and things.
The only place I've picked up a few
Yeah.
is, as I said, it was so limited at TNA and the record office, is in the newspaper. And they're not great quality because they're just clippings, but I've gotten a few soldiers. I got the dedication of the World War I memorial.
Yeah.
And I think I found a school one, a nice school picture that was in the pub there, and they let me they were happy for us to photograph that. So, but it's just kind of these oddballs. But I was just thinking, right now I'm going to focus on what I can get while I'm living close to the place, but I want to do a real deep look at all the newspapers, especially 20th century, but you know, you never know what you might find in them.
No, that's very true. Very true. And I think you're probably right, Kim, because I know that there are some in the newspaper archives for mine. Not many because of the size of the place, but it's a trawl that I perhaps need to do, because I know that the picture, as I say, that I used on the blog is one that's been used in lots of articles and things in newspapers. So it's probably a search I need to do on the British Newspaper Archive or something like that. I know there's lots of hits you get on there, but of course a lot of it is some kind of annihilation of something that's spelt slightly differently. You know, the wonders of OCR that doesn't quite recognise what you actually want.
I've had several bits of serendipity, which has been nice. One of the girls in our village became the muse for Augustus John, and the artist.
Oh, yeah.
And the model, and I found a Pathé News clip of her modelling, and just totally out of the blue. It was rather nice, that. Obviously,
Yeah.
I can only look at it online. I can't purchase it or anything, but then
it's nice to know it's there.
Yes, that's right. And you can see her moving, see her talking and things like that.
Oh.
But the other thing was I've got photos from Doomsday. The BBC project in the 1960s, or was it? Doomsday Revisited. They did. They got lots of school children to write in stories about what's happening and photos and things. So I've got some things from that, which is rather nice.
Oh, excellent. Because I know, Kim, you had something with, is it the Time Team? Am I remembering correctly?
Yeah, that reminded me when you were talking, Peter, which was, I was so excited. Time Team started in 1994, and I guess everybody, or most people will know of it, but it's a very popular archaeology team and does a lot of really excellent television programs, and has really brought archaeology to the general public, I think. But we were really lucky. Before they even started, they were still together working as archaeologists, and back in about 1989-90, they decided to put the biggest reservoir in the Southwest right next to our parish. It only encroached on one farm, which a little nerve-wracking since it was right across the lane from my Eastlake farm, but nevertheless, it only got part of their grounds and really flooded, though, all that area to the west of the parish. And the precursors to Time Team, they called themselves Time Signs, went in and did an archaeological dig, pretty extensive, back at that time, before the reservoir took over. And so we've just got not only the photos of all that they unearthed, and they went back through century after century, and even back to about kind of at least visualizing up to about 3000 BC.
Wow.
But they found stuff back from medieval times of Fuller's Mill and everything. And so between the actual artifacts they found and the artist depictions that you guys see on Time Team all the time, which are really pretty cool when they start to kind of put together all the bits and pieces they have and build a picture of it, has been brilliant. And they put together 4 shows on it, and it was really hard to find them. In fact, Channel 4 was really mean to me. I wrote to them And I said, I know this existed, and we know it was done. But the people in the village only had like this old 8-track kind of terrible mess of a tape of it. And Channel 4 kind of wrote back and said, well, we don't have any requirement to keep this stuff and all this kind of thing. And then that night, one of my bright young sons came home and said, here it is, Mom. And it was sitting on Channel 4 on demand. I didn't know it was called Time Sign, so it's available for people to watch in the UK.
If they know it's what it's called.
Yeah, and so I've got, you know, that identified on my site, but I also must say I went and sat down and transcribed all those videos for all the people who are not in the UK and can't view that. But it is just it not only has all the visualization, but it also has, you know, all the narrative about what they pieced together over thousands of years of history. Fascinating.
Oh, amazing.
And then there's, of course, the real archaeology reports in Devon Record Office, you know, that all go along with that. So it's brilliant.
Could somebody not just go down and do that in Tetcott and Luffencott and Torquay and Southpool and everywhere else in Devon?
I got some other areas around there I want them to check out. It's just
wonderful. Just pop down and do the whole of it.
Terry's sitting there keeping very quiet, but I happen to know he has got quite a number of photographs, haven't you, Terry?
Can you hear me?
We can, yeah.
Good. I wasn't sure. I've had to change computers.
It works beautifully.
Photographs, yes, that's my passion. I've got photographs of Torquay back to about 1850.
Wow.
Wow.
We're busy with actually somebody on Facebook. We're busy trying to sort of work out dates for a lot of them. And we're getting very technical. Down even to one last night was, when did they fit the windows in the arcade in the hotel?
Oh my gosh!
And anyhow, we've fathomed it out, and it was 1856. So we got
How did you work all that out?
Yeah. Oh, you won't believe what we went through to do that. So we've got one before and one after. One with the glass and one without.
So how many people, you said there's like a group, how many people are doing all this, Terry?
No, there's a Facebook page called Torquay in Pictures.
Oh, right.
And I don't know who he is, actually. I've never met the man. But he's absolutely brilliant. We're forever sharing pictures.
Brilliant.
And sharing information. And yeah, it's great. It's great. He's totally anonymous, but it works.
So he just hides behind the Torquay in Pictures Facebook.
Exactly.
Oh, wow. But it's lovely when somebody else is wanting to get involved, because I always love it. I don't get it very often, but I always love it when people write and say, oh, I'm looking for X, Y, or Z that is in my place. Because I was on the, you know, before we had the society, I was on the online parish clerks.
Yes.
For, well, quite a few Devon parishes actually, but certainly Tetcott and Luffencott. And I love it when an email comes in and somebody actually cares about my place. And it's like, you know, even if it's just a little look up or a have you got, and then the communication carries on. And I actually met, well, virtually met, not physically met, somebody in America who's got ancestors from Tetcott just via Twitter. And she had some stuff that she could share with me, and I had some stuff that I could share back to, well, again, help us to visualize, you know, what it was like for our ancestors in the times that they lived there. So, yeah, it was really good. So it does help to kind of have somebody else that's interested. It's certainly nice when they actually care enough to get in touch.
I'm thinking,
oh, yes, definitely.
Terry, I just took a quick peek. I was just taking a quick peek at your Torquay in Pictures.
You're not the only one, Kim. I was doing it too.
Huh?
You're not the only one. I was doing it too.
Well, I don't have a Facebook page set up for my place.
No, I don't.
Can't even keep up with my website, let alone a Facebook page. But so, some other people who I'm doing research with have a Facebook page for one of my one name studies that they're doing the DNA project. And I was just thinking about how many people have put photos on. Like when I joined it, I put a photo of my grandmother on there, and there's so many old photos on that Facebook page, and I'm thinking, you know, that may be a really good way to attract pictures if you focus it kind of more on the visual side. Facebook seems like that may be a really simple way, and you hardly have to do anything because people who use Facebook know they can just hang pictures on everything. That I'm a little tempted on that, Terry.
It's a good idea, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's definitely Sorry, Janet, go on.
There's just one word. It wasn't my page. It's not my one place, but I joined a Facebook group for a place. And can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, good. My earphone suddenly went funny. And the lady in the end took it down because I think people were putting on pictures like the school photo in 1975 with everybody named, and then other people annoyed because they didn't want people to know they were, 45 or whatever. So I think it can be, you've got to be quite careful about what goes on and what doesn't go on, because somebody inevitably gets upset, which is such a shame.
Yeah. And it's that age-old issue of, what's copyright and what isn't. And it's always difficult, particularly with pictures, because if somebody took the photograph 100 years ago, who holds that copyright? Is it okay to put it on websites? So I always err on the side of caution and just don't put anything on that I'm not 100% happy with. But I know that other people don't necessarily do the same.
No.
I'm still tempted.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's just putting things on that either you own or you've taken. I think that's the thing, isn't it? Or things that you're 100% happy with.
Yeah. I did notice, I can't remember what site it was now, but it was one of the local history sites, and someone just had to say, please do not put Francis Frith pictures on here, because of course they're copyright and you can buy them.
That's obvious.
And you buy them at some huge sum off their website. And of course somebody was just kind of, I don't know where they got them from, but they decided they would put them on.
But I have a feeling there's tons and tons of family stuff too. I know one of my contacts in Bratton Clovelly, my main contact, and just by luck, who mentioned earlier, it's people with the key to the church, but they just have in their cottage just boxes and boxes of family stuff. So they, for example, let us take a series of photos up. That they had a photo album of World War I. 5 of the boys in the family went and served, and I think one of the daughters kept the photo album. And you don't necessarily know, they're not necessarily labeled photos or things like that, but they just had drawer after drawer of family photos and memorabilia, and I just have a feeling that there must be plenty of others about who have that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, I know when we started collecting Buckland Brewer photos, we were very careful, and we actually got people to sign to say how we could use them. And the trouble is that if it's things like school photos, they tend to be the first things that come. I know that doesn't help you visualise your place, but that's the sort of thing that people tend to come up with. And then,
but it does, because it's the people there. So
well, exactly, everybody comes up with the same photo. So you use it, and then someone said, I gave you that, I never said you could use it. And you have to explain that actually there's umpteen copies of this photo about it.
There's loads of people bought it.
Yes. So that can be a bit painful, but we have tried to keep a log of where it came from and whose it was and how we got it, and if there's any restrictions on it, then we've noted that as well.
I think there's also a place that not just photos, but I forget what place it is, but they have something called a virtual museum. It's one of the family or local history groups, and it's 3D stuff all online, and it's almost like seeing online. You can just kind of take a walk through all the kind of museum-like pieces, and I thought, well, that is really cool too. So it's not just photos. It's anything you can kind of get a photo of.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if everybody else uses Geograph for UK studies, because that's just brilliant. And people take the most bizarre photographs, like a field across TechCot, and you think, I probably might have seen that if I'd have stopped right there and taken a picture out there, but it perhaps isn't the first thought. And, I know some people's are more rural and some people's are more sort of city or town in Terry's case for Torquay, but you've got all sorts of different ways of looking. And actually, when you go through, if you just do it once, which I think I probably have just gone through that once and taken photographs of different places, actually I probably ought to do it again and go through again, and you'll see different things that you didn't take before. I mean, I remember the first time I even found TechCot, going up to the church and driving back down, and I kid you not, it's a cart track, going back down the cart track, and then I came into TechCot from a different side, and I realised there was a different entrance completely into the manor and then into the back of the church, and I had no idea. So, and that was just 2 visits. So you do have to go back quite a few times to properly visualise it. Even if you think you know it all in a small place, you do have to do it a couple of times.
You might also have the opportunity, I know there's an old pub, I don't know, it's probably been there, or its predecessor, for 1,000 years, but in Bratton Clovelly, and it used to be called the Pack Horse Inn, and there's a trail to find called the Pack Horse Trail. And I don't find it, but it just happens to start at that pub. And it wanders all around, the village. You go through fields. I mean, we got down there and we were staring the, cows in the eyes, and climbing over gates, before we kind of got caught out there. But it identified this trail. They had a little pamphlet in the pub, and identified various things along the way of this trail, which was partly on roads, but since there's only 2 roads, it was mostly on trails or fields, and it just made you really look. You could really look around and I think notice so much more. So if there are defined trails or walks in your area, I think that might be a worthwhile thing to check out.
Yeah. It must be quite different, Terry. I mean, I know a lot of us have really small, and Devon, but small Devon communities. It must be very different for you to do such a large place. I mean, how do you try and sort of tackle that?
I think I've been interested for so long that I go off at a tangent every so often. Something catches my interest, and away I go. And,
don't we all?
I mean, my big trouble at the moment is time. I just haven't got the time to do what I want to do. It's annoying. Somebody's just written a book about a house half a mile up the road that I've been interested in for years and never had time to do anything about. So I'm going to pinch her research now.
You mean credit it properly?
Oh yes, of course.
just covering that pinch there, Terry.
Yeah. No, I mean, I knew vaguely. Yeah. It's a house with the family that lived there have got quite a reputation.
Oh, right.
There was a very acrimonious divorce in about the 1870s, 1880s. That's right. very well recorded in the newspapers. And my interest came because I discovered the house was used in 1917 as a discharge depot for New Zealand troops.
Oh,
and it was one of a number of houses in the bay that were used. And I've had photographs on that from Australia, from New Zealand, all over the place, including one photograph which was the club cafe that they opened for the troops in a building that still stands, but the building was never finished, and the inside was gutted. And so nobody has ever seen this photograph before of how intricate the decoration was. And we know it's the right room because there's a big article in the newspaper when the mayor opened it and how it was done. And yeah, and it's just not there anymore. And it was a building that was meant to be a theatre. And when the war broke out, it was just left. And after the war, it was never finished.
Wow.
And that still stands down by the harbour to this day, and it's still got on the roof the sort of actor-type artistic sculptures all arrayed around the roof. But otherwise, the building's in a shocking state. But we won't go into that one.
It's often quite
thinking of taking photographs. I don't know if we're allowed to do this because this is going to go onto YouTube. Is there a particular camera you would recommend? Because I haven't got a camera at all.
I think we can definitely do that. I think it's not like there's only one Sainsbury's and there's no Tesco's. I think we're allowed to.
You know, if after everything we say other cameras are available, all right.
Yeah, I don't have a brilliant one. I've just got to click and point and click. But actually, do you know what the best camera I have?
It's on your phone.
Yeah.
Phone.
It's better than my camera. It takes far better pictures. The zoom is better. The resolution is better. I would generally favour my phone. I take both, and then check.
It really depends on the person, though. My hands aren't steady enough to use I can't even use one of those phones anyway. So let's picture. I think last time I tried, they had to tell me I had it backwards. But anyway, so I got a slightly clunkier one that I can kind of hold on to with a grip and can steady my hand. And Bart's got an even bigger one that slides into those racks, like at the record office and stuff, that you can put in and position it, in a fixed place for if you're taking lots of. We take so many photos of records and stuff. So I really, the only thing I would say is every time we are in the camera areas, though, the technology advances so astoundingly fast, and the resolution continues to improve so much that I think that it's something, get something current, because it's going to be far better than something 3 or 4 years ago, I guess.
What do you use, Kim, out of interest? Is it a particular make that you find that's better than others, or?
I don't know. I kind of like.
You sounded so knowledgeable.
And the resolution. I was sitting there and I was thinking, gosh, I wonder what brand that is.
I think Peter may have exited stage right to actually go and get his camera. I have a funny feeling that he's disappeared to go and locate the
you
camera.
mind reading?
Yes. What have you got, Peter?
I gave my wife a camera.
Right.
She likes taking photographs of flowers, and this was, in all the reviews, was super for the close-ups.
Right.
Just so happens it's awfully useful for documents and things. This was a Canon digital Ixus 8015 or S, I think, which I've been very pleased with. And the special thing is good about this compared to a phone is, of course, it's got the screw on the bottom. So I've got one of those one-stick things, so I can just lean. I shake. Welcome to the being retired, Kim.
There we go. Yeah. Carry your trunk.
You get confused. But at least it gives me something to lean on.
Yeah.
That's something else I was going to say while I have the floor. Just recently on my website, I put a load of photographs of metal detecting finds that somebody had from 2 years ago, which was, super. I mean, it's not buildings, it's not people, but it's things found in the ground, including some Saxon stuff and Roman stuff, and there's a couple of other people who've got archaeological finds that have come out, and so I'm hoping to put them on there.
And you've got a website as well, haven't you, Peter, to put all of
Yeah,
this
that's
on?
right. Yeah.
Well, I did write at the bottom of the, I think I might have written on the bottom of the blog that actually I'm going website.
Are you really?
Yes, in fact, if you actually Google for Tech Call, Laughing Cut might even come up. You never know. There's nothing on it at the moment. It's under construction, but I
Right now, because my time near the place is, if all goes well with the house sale, is limited.
yeah.
Not that I want to leave being near the place, but I would like to get to Malta. But
Slightly warmer, I'm
but I'm
guessing.
thinking that I probably should focus the first part of the time on just trying to collect up and photograph everything I can while I have the chance. I've got a gallery on my website that kind of is divided into institutions, farms, cottages, church and chapel type thing. And I can easily throw photos up on there. But what I'd really like to do a bit later on is start to tie the photos to maps and people and kind of link them in different ways. So I've kind of got maybe this bit of a progression of, just get the photos wherever, then kind of tie them to place, and then maybe try and tie them to a broader picture of the community, something like that.
Yeah.
Something that I wanted to ask was, how do can I use these picture postcards that I've got from eBay, and can I put them on my website? I mean, they're 1905, that sort of period.
I think the answer is it depends, because
that's what I was going to say too.
There's a local photographer to us who was working in the 20s and 30s and died in the 60s, but he willed the copyright of those postcard photos to his daughter, who only died this year. So until this year, they were in copyright, even though they were taken. People say, "Oh, it's more than 70 years ago. It's more than 100 years ago." So it's really difficult. But I'm no copyright expert, but it seems to be, if you've made an effort to discover who the copyright holder is. I mean, you'd never know this, because people are always putting these photos on Ancestry and on website and here, there, and everywhere. But there are
it's a minefield, isn't it?
It is an absolute minefield. Yeah.
I'm a little more inclined. I'm kind of so far stuck with either photos I've taken or photos that my contacting Brat Crivelli has taken and has said, yes, you can put them on the website, where I'll cite her name anyway, or ones that are under creative license where they give you the citation